Hey, how you guys doing today? If I asked you, what does an instructional designer do or a learning and development professional do? What I want you to do, and bear with me, I want you to scroll down to the comments and write in 1 to 2 sentences what an ID does or an L&D do. The reason being, I'm going to tell you my 5 levels of a good instructional designer / L&D professional. So go to the comments, pause the video, and let me know what you guys think. The reason being, I think I'm going to surprise a few of you and prove some of these comments wrong in a positive way. I want you to look back at your comment at the end of the video after what I said and see if I've changed your mind on what an ID can do and should be doing. In this video, I'm going to cover the 5 levels of what a good instructional designer can do outside of what you usually think. The goal here is to teach you and help you market yourself better on LinkedIn, YouTube, and especially your portfolio. I think that there's a missing cognitive dissonance for folks who think that an ID just does one thing, when in reality, you're doing 10, 15, maybe 20 things on a day-to-day basis that you may not even be discussing with your hiring managers, recruiters, or putting out there in the world so other folks can see, hey, this guy or this girl really knows what they're doing, right? They're not just your typical ID or L&D professional. So stick around for the entire video. Level 5 is the last one. You're gonna have to hear that, as it's gonna really impact the way you project yourself and market yourself. So watch the whole video. You will learn something new, if not multiple things. In return for this content, all I ask in return is to please like the video. That truly does help with the algorithms. Also subscribe for more content. I'll be making videos 2 or 3 times a week, hopefully. And then lastly, check out the description box below. Everything that I talk about in here in this whole video, from programs, links and stuff, will be in there. But also I have a free ebook you can take advantage of. Please go check it out. It's mainly for transitioning teachers, because I was a teacher once, so my sweet babies, I got you. Go get that free book. And also I write resumes professionally. I have pretty good success rate with it. I had like 3 messages this week with folks getting a job. So please check it out. I will review your resume for free, ATS score, all that kind of good stuff. Anything I can do to help, check it out in the description box below. Now with that being said, let's get into the content of the video by my first level of what an ID does. So the first level of a good instructional designer, which you may know, is good content creation. A really good instructional designer is going to focus on 5 main things in their portfolio or on their job. The first being audio. In 2023, having good, clear audio and being able to make good AI voices and such is pivotal. So you have to master audio. The second being video. You don't have to have a $1,000 camera like me, but you can definitely get some great shots on your cell phone, a webcam, and make different types of media using video. There's plenty of free sources out there with B-roll and such, even if it's just simple things. Being able to make a video is a massive skill. Editing is a massive skill. So you definitely have to master that as well. That also includes animation, which is a huge thing that I do that I can help you with as well. The third being presentations. A lot of folks think every company is in 2025 and they're out here crushing it with crazy tools. Couldn't be farther from the truth. Knowing Google Slides and knowing PowerPoint is fantastic. If you can master those, beautiful. If you can step it up a bit to like a Venngage, Visme kind of like slideshow that has voiceovers, you're crushing it, 10 out of 10. So don't get crazy with it, but be able to make a really good presentation. Fourth being a job aid. I want to be able to see that you can put steps on a page. It's pretty, it's designed well. You're not just having like Word doc splatter, and like if you move one image on a Microsoft Office document, it screws up the whole thing. Make sure you can make a really good job aid. Once you can do that, the 5th thing is an authorized course. This is your Articulate 360, Storyline, Rise, and Adobe mainly. But I need to be able to see that you can make step-by-step compliance training kind of things. The more boring things like that, but again, to be able to have that in your arsenal is fantastic. With that being said, let me show you some examples. So this is my portfolio. I haven't updated in about 1.5 years. Even though I've learned a lot, because again, I'm gainfully employed, so I have no reason to be like trying to keep up with the Joneses when it comes to like my image online. But in my portfolio alone, I have video courses, so you can click on and see I have a whole entire 50-part course on stock trading. This covers my video and audio as well, but in here I cover a bunch of great stuff. I also have in here newsletters. This kind of hits up my job aid perspective, because the newsletters I used to make were pretty technical, And you can see from my newsletters, I used to kind of track a bunch of different stuff and write things out beautifully and show different types of charts and stuff. So being able to kind of show the job aid skills, here's what I did. It's a bit of an upgraded level of that, but being able to do job aids is huge. When it comes to my presentations and storyline, I have them here. I have a really nice voiceover notes section here. I use a company called Visme, they're free, but you can see it's a kind of an upgraded version. If I hit the play button, my voice talks over it, and so the folks who I wanted to hire me can see I can actually integrate and level up my presentations. And then for my articulate course, it's here as well. I'm not going to run through it, but again, like having a good, 3 to 5 minutes showing that you know how to use it is also great. You can also see on mine, I have an upgraded version of animation here, but also I have storyboarding and some project management stuff on here. The reason being, I think that having project management skills is huge, and we could see on here some of the processes I took to make some stuff, whether it's, processes and links and stuff. And so as you can see, I cover those 5 things in my portfolio very quickly and easily. Nothing that you can't do. I'm just a regular guy who's done this for a good amount of time. But if you wanted to make any of those things, you certainly can. And of course, hit me up on LinkedIn if you need help. One thing I run into all the time with the folks I help on LinkedIn is how do I make content or get ideas for content? Here's a tidbit. Let me show you. So I may ask the question like, how does insurance work, right? And what you're going to notice are people also ask. This is huge. Because instead of you trying to find content folks will find interesting, just use the Google suggestions because this is what folks are already looking up. Why would you veer away from this? Just use what Google's giving you, right? It's free. And so I'm going to go here and click boop, close that, boop, close that, boop, close that. And I can keep going on forever and ever and ever. And you're going to notice the more I do this, the more topics come up with, in this case, insurance. And so what I can do from here is I want to get into like sports management, I want to get into healthcare, I want to get into, college education, whatever it is. Just get your content from an idea like this. Like, how does one blank? How do I blank? What do I blank? And it's going to give you every single idea. And folks are already looking this up, and you'll get plenty of great ideas from that. That's a great tip. I would definitely take advantage of that. So once an instructional designer or L&D has covered content creation, the second thing that I think you should look into beyond that, which is going to kind of break away from the folks in the comments saying they make good content, is to always track trends and kind of look into learning outcomes. Being innovative and being ready to try new things and failing forward and not doing what you need to do to reach your goals and then finding solutions to make those ends meet is massive in instructional design. You're going to go into companies that have no idea how to pre-test, how to post-test, how to even run a survey correctly. They have no idea the new technologies out there, whether it's a Pear Deck, a Beyond, whatever it is. They have no idea. No one's looked into it. How are you going to innovate? How are you going to communicate with SMEs? All these things you have to research now and project now in job interviews and we're talking to recruiters. What you're going to find out in this space is there's no such thing as a straight line from A to B. Every single time I've taken on a project, whether it's at work or freelancing or working with people on the side, it's always A to B becomes A, B, C, D, back to C, jump to F, come back to E. It's never a straight line. And so you have to prepare yourself with the tools, knowledge, whatever it is, to be prepared to make pivots and innovate. And this leads me to my second point of this. As an instructional designer, reinventing the wheel is not a good thing. There's honestly not a single reason you should ever make something twice. If you're making an articulate storyline template, save it and use it again. If you're going to see someone else doing something really cool on LinkedIn or in a different portfolio, steal it. There's no reason you should be out here thinking, I have to make it myself. I have to reinvent the wheel. A good ID and L&D professional will see something that's working for someone else and just copy and paste it. They may have to change some keywords. I'm not saying plagiarize, but if you see someone doing something really cool, a really cool approach or a really cool survey, a really cool form for talking to SMEs or like planning out their project management, take it and run with it. The days of trying to do everything from scratch makes very little sense in this space, especially when you have deadlines to hit. So in your interviews or talking to recruiters, instead of just talking about that content, level 2 you should be focusing on is how you're going to innovate, pivot, and all the templates you have at your disposal to lower time and lower waste. That's level 2. Level 3 for a good instructional designer to me is someone who can get into data analytics. There's nothing worse to me than someone who has a bunch of complex information. They try and tell it to me and I don't understand it because it's still complex. A good expert in any field will take the most complicated things ever and make it simple and digestible. Think of someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who talks about quantum mechanics or all this cool stuff on TV, like when two black holes meet, what's going to happen? He makes it digestible. You're not trying to outsmart anybody. This is not a pissing contest. You're really just trying to take anything that's complex and make it digestible. Again, think about this from the perspective or in the shoes of a new hire. If I'm talking about healthcare, which I'm in, insurance is complicated. Customer service is complicated. If I were to try and teach these people with e-learnings or asynchronous learnings or video series, and I kept it all complex, like it's going to be super hard to understand insurances, I'm shooting myself and that employee in the foot. So making stuff digestible through data is massive. Also think about it from this perspective. If I'm trying to prove that my education is working, my content is working, my theory and innovations are working, I need to have data to prove it. I can't just say, well, as you can see, people are still here, we have good retention, no one's quitting. Yeah, but are we actually doing the company's goals? Am I aligned with the milestones, KPIs, standards of the company? Am I proving that I'm worth being here? Because if I can't prove that what I'm making is making a difference, then what's the point of having an ID in the first place? So instead of just focusing on your content, focus on mastering how to show what you're doing works. Master how to show data appropriately to your supervisors, your bosses, whatever it is. Master programs like PowerPoint, Excel, Microsoft BI, whatever it is. Tableau is great too. Be able to kind of take complex data that you understand and make it digestible for people above you and for folks below you. The fourth level of a good instructional designer or L&D professional is somebody who thinks about the revenue operations process and someone who thinks about a company's money and earnings. So the reason that this is so important, and you have to get this through your heads, is that a for-profit company does not operate like a public school or anything like that. Public school teachers are taught that you teach bell to bell, there's no exclusions, there's no time for anything else. Companies do not work that way. You have to remember, as an ID and in the training field, you're probably pretty low on the important level of where funding's going or time's going or resources are going. It's not going to be music to your manager's ear that when they hire you, you're going to give them and your employees more work. I'm going to come in and I'm going to give them all these different worksheets and we're going to do all this crazy stuff. No sir, not going to fly. Instead, think of it like this. If I'm in an interview with a recruiter and I'm thinking, hey, let me ask you, how many hours of training do you guys do a year for an employee? And they're like, oh, maybe 20 hours, whatever it is. You go, okay, 20 hours of training. At what? $20 a pop? $20 an hour? Yeah, about that. So like, okay, talking about, $400 a year in training per person. What if I cut that in half? What if I came in and said 10 hours and I got the same exact results? What would you think? They'd be like, whoa, you think you could do that? And you're like, yeah, let me tell you something. You're going to hire me for $50,000, $60,000, but I save you $50,000 in training or $50,000 in overtime? Oh my goodness, now all of a sudden the whole conversation has gone from can this person do the job to not only can they do the job, they're already thinking how they're going to save my company money. And that may not be like a big deal to you now, but on the inside, if I can pitch, yo, I deserve a raise because I saved y'all $15,000 in July alone from training. So I think I deserve a piece of that. And that's a really good perspective to have when it comes to revenue operations. So again, think about this from a workforce management perspective. The person making the schedules, the person who's hiring for capacity planning, how many employees are going to need. If you can come in and say, you're going to need 10% less capacity for training this year, how's that sound? Music to their ears. Walk into your manager's office. Hey, is overtime an issue? Like, are trainers working too much? And they go, yeah, we keep going overtime. Well, why don't we cut a week out of training this year and see what happens? You can do that? Yes, I can. So while you're in your interviews, even on your resume, if your resume is reading like, I can take every resource you give me and I can just use it all the time, not great. But if you can pitch yourself as someone who can come in and not only make more money from training better customer service, better outcomes, but someone who can say, yo, I can cut your training by 20%. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All of a sudden, this conversation has gone from a skill conversation to a whole new level you didn't even think about in the first place. So never forget, if you're applying for corporate jobs, you're applying for somewhere that's trying to make money. Think of it from that perspective, and you're going to see this light bulb click on and how your resume gets better and your pitches get better in interviews. Always remember, for level 4, revenue operations, make money, save money, maximize resources, and cut waste. If you can do that, you're again ahead of the schedule, you're crushing it. And the last level of a very good instructional designer, in my opinion, is someone who can manage a lane or has mastered project management. Nothing's gonna sound better to your company and your boss in particular than someone saying, I don't really need you to remove this roadblock for me, I can handle it. Hey, I don't really need to be motivated. I like this job, I can do it myself. Hey, you don't really need to step in and give me this process. I have my own that's worked plenty. I can adapt as needed. If you can really pitch yourself as a complete lane owner from start to pivoting to project completion, you are so far ahead of a basic instructional designer. So again, on your resume, in your portfolio, even in interviews, stop pitching as someone who needs direction, someone who's like, well, I'm gonna come in and make some good content. No, you're gonna come in with some confidence and be like, yo, I don't need anyone's help. I'm here to make solutions. If I'm gonna see 2 departments have 2 different goals, right? They're judging X, they're judging Y. I'm gonna meet with them, get on the same page, align my content, my training, my ID stuff, and make sure both are taken care of. You've noticed that there's no feedback coming back from my new hires? I'm gonna step in and get some feedback. Wait, you're saying training never follows up with our managers? I'm gonna step in and do that too. Anywhere you find inefficiencies, you find a broken process, a broken system, an instructional designer can come in and fix those things. So the ultimate for me is someone who's a complete lane owner. They can get a job from inside the company, like we need this kind of training. You're gonna handle the ADDIEs, analyze, design, develop, implement, evaluate. You're gonna make sure everyone's on the same page. You've consulted SMEs, your communication channels are transparent. You're gonna do agile, whatever it is. If you can scrum master this bad boy up on top of being an ID, you're gonna have to beat them with a stick to get off you, because that's what every company wants, is someone who's thinking about the revenue operation process, innovating, making good content, and then lastly, managing a project successfully and can actually do all those things without having any intervention, no roadblocks being removed, because hey, you got it. So again, in summary, level 1's great content. Start there, get your portfolio done and get some good content. Level 2 is being able to pivot and innovate and bring in new ideas as new things come up for your company. Level 3 is going to be data and using data to prove what you're doing is working. Level 4 is revenue operations and maximizing profit, minimizing waste, and being able to sell that in your interviews and on your resume. And then level 5 is project management and complete lane ownership. If you can do level 1 through 5, I can basically guarantee you'll have many more eyes on you and a much better chance of getting a job in ID and L&D. If at any point in this process you need help, again, I'm on LinkedIn. All my stuff's in the description box. I can help you with all my tools I have, everything that I've done to be successful in this field. I hope this video has enlightened you a bit and shed some more light on what an ID actually does and how you can pitch yourself better, because again, I've been seeing so many folks with the skills who just haven't connected those dots to be more successful. Scroll down and check to see if what you thought an ID was before this video is the same, and if not, let me know. Have a good rest of your guys' day. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks.